r/ask Reddit. What's the most high risk, low reward thing you've ever done? Climbing up a water tower when drunk to find a friend. Turns out said friend was not even lost. He was yelling at me from the base of the tower. I was in band in high school. I had a friend from middle school that was also involved in athletics at the time, and the two of us were outcasts among the greater band nerd population and often got talked down to, which even our instructor would join in on from time to time. At the time, flipping backpacks was popular, taking things out of the backpack, flipping the backpack inside out, returning the items to the bag and zipping the bag back up. One day when we had a substitute in and he had the class watch the typical BS Mozart movie from the 80s again, I found a mega bag of zip ties and convinced my buddy to help me flip every student's backpack, zip tie the bags closed, and then zip tie the bags into the instrument lockers while everyone watched the movie. If we got caught and reported, the instructor 100% would have suspended us. So we were on extra edge, and right as we were wrapping up, the substitute locked eyes with us from across the room and realized what was going on and decided to pretend nothing happened, and we completed the mission right on time. The class was very pissed as the lights flicked on and they saw what had unfolded. The substitute came back for a class later that year and talked to us, saying he had to actively try not to lose his shit when he saw what was going on. I ducking love you, Mr. Hudson. Reporting you would have been a high effort, low reward action for him. That dude was weighing up whether it was worth his time to bust you and decided it was not. I am not paid enough to complete the paperwork that reporting this would require. I stole every wheel off the chairs in my high school's computer lab as a joke during a 20-minute break. I still have one of them. Probably could have gotten expelled just for a slightly funny joke and a useless chair wheel. I did the same thing, except it was the mouse balls from the computer lab. So dumb. I skipped class after a standardized test. Literally the afternoon teachers were showing movies and doing nothing, and I decided it was smart to get in school suspension to sit behind a warehouse and nap with my dumbest friend. My senior year, I figured out that I was legally an adult, so I could literally just leave whenever I wanted. I was an F&D student, but when I started cutting class early, my grades went to B's and C's because I had time to settle in at home, get an early start on my homework, and still had enough time and energy to play games with my friends on Xbox Live. My hippie teacher I had a few years earlier once said, and he could have gotten fired for this, give yourself a break. Get your grades up and skip class every once in a while as a way to treat yourself. Paraphrase. It worked, but I don't think he meant to do it once a week. Whilst building a house, the second floor had an I-beam that extended out into nowhere that needed to be painted with rust protection paint. The floor had not been installed yet and the joists were still going in. To save time, I shimmied out to the end of the beam and started painting. Every breath of wind made the whole thing sway. Just my movements made it wiggle a fair bit. Nearly took a 6-meter swan dive to a concrete floor about 12 times. I could have painted it after the floor was in, but that would mean laying down drop sheets and lots of messing around. Should have waited. Was a totally stupid thing to do. Stupid? Maybe. But I've seen a lot of painters do a lot of stupid stuff like that, me included. So I think you were just playing the part. I knew a painter. Took a summer job outside of the city. Fell and paralyzed himself. Poor guy bled to death. Family found out days later when he didn't return any calls. My friends and I used to target and steal those signs that said if you are caught stealing you will be prosecuted. Many illegal things were done and many hundreds of thousands of dollars of stuff was ignored to steal increasingly difficult to obtain paper signs. I absolutely love when someone steals something worth nothing while ignoring something valuable just for the sake stealing it. IDKY. Dude, in the dorms we used to steal the no marijuana or alcohol and the do not tamper with adjoining doors signs and put them up on the walls in our room where we did all of the above. So dumb but also hilarious. Going way beyond the speed limit when I first started driving. When I think of the car stuff we tried when young, man, I shouldn't be alive. Mixing water with petrol to see if it works. Masturbate using vapor rub. Thanks for the warning. I haven't done it, but I figured it was basically just spicy Vaseline. I swam in the Zambezi when I was drunk on a tiger fishing trip. Still can't believe I was that stupid. For those that don't know, it's infested with hippos and crocs, known for taking people. but tiger fishing in the Zambezi sounds ducking sweet though. I didn't know they had poles strong enough to fish for tigers. Their catch and release policy is bullshit though. If he hollers you have to let him go. Cocaine. Almost called 911. Again. I got some cocaine with fentanyl in it about a year ago. Thankfully the guy I was with at the time knew CPR. Got me breathing again. Drove me to the ER and called my work saying that I wouldn't be there the next day for an obscure, non-drug related reason. I imagine he actually said obscure non-drug related reason and I'm loving it. Told this story before but it's been a while. My friends and I used to break into expensive looking houses and use their showers. This was in the late 90s when ridiculous showers were in vogue and we wanted to know if they were actually any good. For the most part they were not. We never stole anything well, except water. We brought our own towels and toiletries. We were very careful about who we hit and made sure they had set schedules and no children or pets. The reward was a shitty shower. We risked jail time. Did you leave a check for the stolen water? Decided to see how fast I could get up to on a nearby neighborhood road. Driving my mother's car no less. Got up to 80 miles per hour in around 6 seconds I think. And by the time I realized I should be slowing down the tires were screeching as I tried to stay on the road. It was a mostly straight neighborhood road. 35 mph. The curve near the end leading to a 4-way stop. I got up to 80 right where the road began to curve, and as I was turning I was going so fast that I went over into the other lane. Just a foot or two from going up over the curb. Slowed down and brought the car to a stop at the intersection and my family member sitting in the passenger seat looked over at me as if he had just shit the life right out of himself. I was 19 at the time, and got my license that same summer. My passenger was 16. I've never had such a powerful moment of instant regret after that day. I didn't feel cool at all. I could have killed a pedestrian, a child, or myself and my family member. That was the day I truly learned that I could lose my life, and have respected all traffic laws since. Well, to a reasonable extent. I'm only glad that we came out completely unharmed. CPR on 2 active TB patients. Felt like shit after. Neither made it. If you didn't you'd be asking yourself what would have happened if you did. Despite the bad outcome you absolutely did the right thing. I once went on a heater at the Luxor in Vegas. When it was over I had turned $60 into $78k and change. I was drunk with excitement. It was 8 AM Saturday. On the way to the cage. Shadowed by 3 floor guys. I spied an empty blackjack table. I walked over to it and asked one of the floor guys with me if I could bet it all in one hand. The table has a 5k limit. He nodded okay. I had no money to split. After 2 hits we end up pushing on a 17 and I avoided what would have been the most stupid, embarrassing thing I have ever done. So basically you were an idiot bailed out by fate. I don't gamble so I don't know what pushing on a 17 means. Does that mean you made it out with the money? Their hands were tied at 17 total. No money was won or lost. Robbing the bank in Monopoly. Holy crap. I was a grown man before I realized the game is not meant to be played with the banker as someone the players have to win over. Under the table deals. Random cards slipped your way. Cash dropped into your pile. As long as the other players don't notice you can keep it. As you can imagine it was a lot more stressful than any game has a right to be. Told my mom that my dad was working outside and not the truth of him tearing out a wall because he decided a sliding door would be pretty. He did not get it done before she got home. Pretty sure this is a Malcolm in the Middle episode. Wasting 2000 plus hours for playing competitive multiplayer game. At the end, nothing I got other than hurting my eyes, brain, and my emotion. During an all-nighter study session with my college roommate we decided we wanted to get some McDonald's. It was around 1 AM. So we left all of our stuff in a common study room, laptops and all WTF, and got in my car. It was pitch black, super foggy with my lights on, and raining to top it all off. I couldn't see more than a foot in front of my car so we were driving 10 miles per hour down the highway on no sleep. After less than 5 terrifying minutes we decided the cheeseburgers weren't worth it and went home. Essentially high risk, no reward. Went to college. Shoplifted condoms 3 years ago. I'm still a virgin. I was a free intern for a flower shop. One day there was a shady person walking in the store basement. Somebody said he stole something from the shop and fled to the basement. The shop was in an apartment building, street level, and the basement led to all over the building. So they said to me, a 16-year-old girl, to go to the basement and check the situation out. Well, I was young and dumb and went. Thank God I found no one. Jumping onto a bus that was pulling away from the bus stop without closing its doors. The buses every 10 minutes. I was working as a chef in a gourmet bar/restaurant, and I'd become somewhat of a teacher's pet in the form of my manager's favorite employee because I was never late. Covered shifts etc. Not for his sake. I wanted more money. New guy started and he was just awful. Only got 2 weeks into the job before almost being sacked, but I wanted to teach him the ways. Anyway, one day he carelessly left a cloth on an open flame during prep in the morning of Valentine's Day, our biggest revenue generator, and the fire ravaged through about 1/4 of the kitchen, including the stock, the microwaves, the cooker and the veg prep area. And for some stupid ducking reason I said it was my fault when the manager was on the warpath, thinking the new guy would be saved and I'd just take a humongous bollocking for being stupid and all would be fine eventually. No, I got sacked. He threw me out. To this day I will never ever understand why I put my neck into that guillotine of fire. I've talked about this before, but Halloween costumes were banned at my high school because of some idiots like 10 years before that dressed up and used it as an excuse to hide their face while they vandalized the school. My senior year, more than half of the class decided that we would still dress up and march into the school together in the morning. We all knew we would be punished right away, but it didn't matter. I stayed up all night making a suit of armor out of metallic duct tape and cardboard, along with a broomstick horse to ride. The next day we all gathered in the parking and waited for everyone to show up. People went all out and there were a lot of amazing costumes, and after about 20 minutes of waiting we started our march-in. The deans had learned of our plan and were waiting for us right as we entered. They started pulling people aside in groups and taking student IDs to hand out Saturday detentions. Got to be in costume for all of about 30 minutes before they made us change and gave us our detentions. Except for a few people that wore costumes that couldn't be changed out of, like my buddy Dave that was a ghostbuster and had nothing under his jumpsuit. Those people got in school suspension for the day along with the detentions. I played Russian roulette solitaire, sneaking into my parents' room at night while they were sleeping to use the ensuite as it was more comfortable than the shared bathroom. It took ages as I slowly opened the door and crept across the room too, all for a cozier poop. Thinking back now, that was madness. When I did get caught eventually, my dad screamed, "WTF are you doing in here at this hour?" and when the answer was to use that bathroom instead of the other bathroom, he just about lost his mind. I was stationed at GTMO, worked exterior security, nothing in the facility itself, and it's actually a pretty laid back place to work. In a ho there's a bunch of different beaches we could swim at and me and a few others thought it would be fun to swim down around the fences and snap some pictures on the Cuba side. Turns out they really didn't like that. They didn't approach us, but there was an announcement made that doing such was highly illegal. They shut down the adjoining beaches and they demanded we come forward. We never did and they never figured it out. But yeah, we basically risked an international incident for a couple of pictures. Stupidest thing I've ever done. I ate an innocent piece of lettuce in Bolivia. Yeah, I ended up in hospital and I think I still have all my organs. Moved across the country for a guy. Got married. Now divorced. Hate it here. No family. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.